has publicly acknowledged that she is a lesbian. She refused to undergo the Olympic medical examination. This is because she was born with a Y chromosome and has multiple characteristics.
While this is taking place, Brittany Griner comes out and says, I am so sick and tired of the NBA, the WNBA. It used to be a peaceful, small little thing. Now there's crowds screaming, hollering.
Etiquette debut at Dallas. This is her second stint with Rickea and Brittany Griner. Griner and Jackson.
Rickea Jackson has officially stepped into the Brittany Griner drama, bringing with her a plot twist that might finally explain the deep-rooted tension between the two. And yes, it all ties back to the swirling rumors that have been haunting Brittany 4 months. But here's the kicker: Rickea claims she discovered Brittany's real identity, not the carefully polished version that WNBA has been pushing to fit its narrative. For a long time, Rickea kept this explosive information to herself, choosing to stay locked in on her game. But now, with critics labeling her a troublemaker, she's decided enough is enough. She's pulling back the curtain and letting the fans decide who the true villain really is. This isn't just basketball drama, this is a full-blown saga, packed with more twists and turns than a primetime soap opera. So let's dive straight into the chaos.
It makes absolutely no sense for you to, on one hand, say you're standing up for women's rights and women's pay, and then on the other hand saying it's criminal that a biological man plays in women's sports. As you are competing in women's sports and not the NBA, if you felt like there was no difference, there was no advantages that men have, then why don't you play in the NBA?
In just a few months, the WNBA has gone from being dismissed as dusty and boring to becoming one of the most controversial leagues in all of professional sports. And right at the center of it all, two of its biggest stars, Rickea Jackson and Brittany Griner, locked in a feud that nobody saw coming. And let me tell you, Rickea isn't biting her tongue anymore. She's spilling the tea on how she discovered that Brittany Griner isn't just the league's poster child. She's the poster child for its entire woke agenda. Think about it: how does a player openly break one of the league's most basic eligibility rules and somehow face zero consequences? According to Rickea, that's exactly what Griner has been doing. But here's where it gets really wild. How did Rickea even find out the truth about one of the WNBA's best-kept secrets? It all goes back to a heated game last September between the Mercury and the Sparks. With just 20 seconds left before the break, Rickea and her teammate Lee Yuru went in for a clean box-out, just standard defense. But then, out of nowhere, Brittany fired off an elbow that smashed Rickea right in the face. And trust me, Rickea was not about to let that slide. She stepped up, confronted Griner. And suddenly the court turned into a battleground until teammates and coaches rushed in to pull them apart.
Etiquette debut at Dallas. This is her second stint with Rickea and Brittany Griner. Griner and Jackson.
Boy, that developed very quickly.
Both Brittany and Rickea were tossed from that game, but when they returned, it was obvious whose side the crowd was on. Spoiler alert. It wasn't Brittany. The fans couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. The altercation dominated headlines. And while everyone saw Brittany spark the whole thing, people were stunned when she finally spoke out. Instead of owning up, she brushed it off like nothing happened. Her response? It's basketball. Stuff gets heated. Nothing personal. I like Rickea, I like her game. No hard feelings. But here's the thing, this wasn't just a little rough play. Physicality is part of the game, sure. But intentionally elbowing another player in the face and then acting like it's no big deal? That's not competitiveness, that's malice. And she did it in front of the entire world. For Rickea, that moment flipped a switch. She wasn't a rookie anymore. But she was still shocked by the level of aggression coming from what should have been a routine play. That incident pushed her to dig deeper into who Brittany Griner really was. And what she found changed everything she thought she knew about the WNBA. Rickea always suspected the league had its secrets, but she never expected to uncover something this scandalous that one of its star players might be competing under false pretenses. And worse, the league itself was protecting her. Not for fairness, not for integrity, but for the sake of keeping up appearances of so-called progressiveness. And yes, that player was none other than Brittany Griner. Suddenly, all of Brittany's reckless elbows, cheap fouls, and overly aggressive plays started to make sense. She wasn't just confident on the court, she was untouchable. Because she knew the higher-ups had her back. And let's be real, this isn't just speculation. Brittany's career is littered with controversial clips, from injuring teammates during practice to leaving opponents bruised in official games. The footage is out there, and if you've been watching women's basketball at all, you've probably seen the viral videos of her bulldozing Caitlin Clark on the court. Rickea connected the dots. And that's when she realized there was way more to Brittany's story than the league wanted anyone to know.
But here comes Rickea Jackson. I don't know that she knows that she's been tossed from this game.
So here's the million-dollar question. How is it that Brittany walks away from these clashes completely unscathed, while the players she goes up against are left sidelined, sometimes missing multiple games with injuries? Something just doesn't add up. And it didn't take long for people to start whispering the obvious. Maybe the reason Brittany has such a dominant physical edge over her competition is because she's not really competing on equal footing. Look, this is why men's and women's sports have always been separated. It's not opinion, it's science. For decades, medical experts have studied the biological differences that shape athletic performance, stamina, lung capacity, muscle mass, height, weight, agility, and recovery times. And the conclusion has always been clear: men and women simply can't compete fairly in the same category. It's not about saying one gender is better than the other. It's about recognizing the undeniable differences in genetics and biology. That's the foundation of every professional sport. And yet, somehow, in the WNBA, those lines seem to be blurring, and Brittany Griner is right in the center of that storm.
Brittany Griner was caught on tape during a game with the Indiana Fever, dropping racial slurs against Caitlin Clark. I mean, pretty obviously doing so.
Exact fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
And it doesn't take a lot of genius to lip read Brittany Griner, whose voice, by the way, is about as low as mine is, calling her trash and an effing white girl. Now, of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever suggested the same in reverse, using black as opposed to white in that sentence, that'd be the end of her WNBA career. But Brittany Griner is going strong. It's totally fine.
So what does it really mean when one so-called female player has physical traits and abilities that give her such an overwhelming edge over everyone else? At some point, you've got to start connecting the dots. Take this for example. How come Instagram's I didn't flag that viral video of Brittany topless? If it had been any other woman, the platform would have instantly taken it down for nudity. No questions asked. But in Brittany's case, the system just let it slide. Almost like the AI itself couldn't figure out what category to put her in.
Can you play or can you not play? Do you have an advantage or are you at a disadvantage? It's not even that hard. Biological men don't play against biological women. Why? Because they will be dusting you off all day long. Do you think that Brittany Griner can play in the NBA? F no. She wouldn't even make any team in the NBA. Brittany Griner wouldn't make a single NBA team roster. None. She wouldn't even be on a practice squad. And you know what they do during training? This is what makes me infuriated. You know what the women do when they train in basketball? They play against men who are not professional, because the women ain't gonna push them to be better. The men are gonna push them. And she know that, I know that, you know that. But they still get on stage and be disingenuous and foolish. Nobody's trying to block a transgender for playing sports. You just can't cheat, bruh. Why is there no trans man being ousted in sports? Why? A woman turned into a man. Why don't we see any examples? Show me an example of a woman turning into a man and winning first place. Because we know it don't happen.
And here's where things take a jaw-dropping turn. While digging deeper, Rickea claims she uncovered alleged medical records that point to exactly what so many fans had already been whispering. The bombshell? Brittany Griner may not be who she's claimed to be all along.
Brittany Griner is, in fact, a man. One of the videos that give us cause to say that is this video. It is from her Instagram stories from years and years ago. And when it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittany posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a female chest, we have to take this down. Oftentimes, if breast cancer runs in a family, women will preemptively get like double mastectomies. There's some great surgeons out there, don't get me wrong, but I don't see any scars on Brittany's chest that would be indicative of a double mastectomy or top surgery for gender transition.
But that still leaves one big question. How did Rickea even get her hands on that kind of information? Well, here's what most people don't realize. Rickea isn't just any player. Thanks to her talent and fast rise in the league, she built serious connections with WNBA executives early in her career. When you've got friends in high places, sometimes getting the answers you want is just a matter of asking the right people the right questions. Once Rickea uncovered Brittany's alleged truth, their relationship flipped overnight. Up until the middle of last year, they actually had a sort of competitive friendship. On the court, they went at each other hard, but off the court, there was still mutual respect. But after that discovery, the dynamic shifted from friendly rivals to full-blown enemies. And here's the part that really pushed Rickea over the edge. Wasn't just that Brittany was breaking every rule by even being in the league. It was that Rickea realized the truth didn't matter. Brittany wasn't just protected by the WNBA, she was being shielded by an entire system. Think about it. This is the same Brittany Griner who was swapped out of a Russian prison in exchange for one of the world's most dangerous arms dealers, the so-called Merchant of Death. As Stephen A. Smith himself said, you don't get that kind of treatment unless the powers that be are invested in protecting you at all costs.
Brittany Griner is clearly a man. Why is she able to play in the WNBA? Behind this lies three terrifying truths. Brittany Griner has been married twice.
Brittany Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America on home soil, would not have too much to complain about. Especially something like this. Fans in every sport. She described the fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport you are. It doesn't matter what sport you pick. That's how fans act in every arena. In every arena. So, and then when you, clearly she's not remembering who they let out to get her back.
The
on
Merchant
American
of
soil.
Death.
The Merchant of Death. An arms dealer that wanted to kill American citizens, according to the reports. That's who they let out. For her. You would think that you would be smiling, you would be ecstatic, you would be happy, and something like this wouldn't faze you at all. The fact that it does is disturbing. I'll leave it at that.
That's a little fact that Brittany's supporters always seem to gloss over.
And that's the part Brittany's supporters never want to talk about. How does it make any sense that the US government traded a basketball player for a convicted terrorist nicknamed the Merchant of Death? Surely there had to be other options on the table to bring her home. But instead, one of the most dangerous criminals on the planet walked free. The only explanation. Brittany Griner isn't just a player. The government and the league are protecting her. Because if the truth ever came out, the fallout would be catastrophic. Imagine the lawsuits, the broken trust, and the headlines. If fans realized the WNBA has been deceiving them about one of its biggest stars, court dockets would be stacked for the next decade. And as for Rickea Jackson, she's just getting started. She's not content with simply exposing Griner's alleged identity. She's going after the bigger picture, uncovering who in the league is pulling the strings to keep Brittany untouchable. And let me tell you, the WNBA might not be ready for that level of scandal. But here's the real question. Will Brittany catch on to Rickea's plan before the truth finally comes out? And what do you think about the WNBA allegedly protecting her? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Then stick around because this next video takes the drama to a whole new level.